The ABKONCORE AR87 is the heaviest keyboard I've ever unboxed, and as far as I know, it's the heaviest production keyboard in the market. This thing weighs more than a Ducky 1.2 Mini, Warmier K66, Logitech G Pro, and Keychron K2 combined. Special thanks to ABKONCORE for sending this one out, and as you guys should know by now, that will not affect my review in any way. We're going to be unboxing this, and I'll also give you guys my first impressions on it, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and state the obvious. This thing is extremely heavy. When it first arrived at my doorstep, I picked it up not knowing what it was, and I was like, what the f did I just order? I haven't seen it yet, but it feels like a premium keyboard already. Anyways, at the front of the box, you'll notice the ABKONCORE logo at the top, as well as the product name right here, AR87, CNC full aluminum, pretty much a full metal keyboard, so that kind of explains why it's so heavy. On the bottom right, you'll see some of the same information, as well as side rainbow LED. You do have RGB lights on the side, and then it also is 87 keys, so this keyboard is a TKL design, and it does have a standard layout. It should be pretty easy when looking for replacement keycaps. On the top right, it does mention Cherry MX. That's the only variety that is available with this keyboard, so hopefully you like that. But Cherry MX is obviously the industry leader with switches. Not saying they're the best, just saying they're the industry leader. On the right side, you'll notice some of the same information as well as your switch type. There are 5 different switches available. You have the Cherry MX Brown, the tactile switch, the red linear, the blue clicky switch, a silent red linear, and then also a black linear, which is the heavier model. I personally like heavy linear switches, so that's the model that I opted for. On the left side, you have the same exact information. On the top side, once again, the same exact information. Bottom side, same thing. On the back, it does have additional details, a few different languages here. As far as the US detail, CNC machine, full aluminum body to provide a simple yet stylish housing design. So there's that. By the way, the ABKONCORE is a South Korean brand, so that's where this company originated from. Here are some specifications on the keyboard. The dimensions, the weight, 3.1 kilograms, extremely heavy keyboard. Type-C cable, cable length, and then here on the right side you have some more information regarding the manufacturer, as well as a lot of the barcodes and the actual product information. Again, Cherry MX Black is what I ordered. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it for the box. Let's go ahead and open it up. You do have one sticker on the single tab here at the front of the keyboard, so let's go ahead and remove that. Kind of hard to unbox this with the weight in consideration here, but here we go. Alright guys, so the first thing that you notice here is it does come in a special case, so that's a really nice touch. I didn't mention the price quite yet, guys, but this retails for about $240. So obviously pretty expensive production keyboard, but hopefully the features of the keyboard justify that price. But anyways, it does come with a case. Let's go ahead and remove that. Nothing else in the box, as you can see there. And then here is the case. So, oh my god, that's heavy. You have to be extremely careful here. But anyways, on the front of the case, on the bottom right, you do have the ABKONCORE logo. It is textured and a little bit rubbery, and then you have a little bit of a red outline for the zipper. It isn't symmetrical, it's kind of on the bottom side, so that is a bit different. Nothing else on either side of the case in itself. You do have one zipper here on the right side. Other than that, let's go ahead and open it up. All right, here we go. First thing that pops out here, you do have a few accessories in this one plastic bag. Let's check those out real quick, one at a time. So you do have quite a large keycap puller, and if you guys been following the channel, you know I love wired keycap pullers. They're very gentle on the keycap. Next in line, we do have a little brush here. This is the first time I've ever seen this on a keyboard, but I'm assuming to remove the keycaps and brush along the board there. The bristles are somewhat soft, but they are a bit tough for the most part. Lastly, for the accessory packet, we do have a white braided cable, as well as a white cable strap right there. It is gold plated on the USB-A end, as well as on the USB Type-C end. On top of the case, there is some netting here, so you can put your accessories in here if you want to, and then you have one little insert as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. It is folded. ABKONCORE at the top, AR87. You do have some combination functions here. It looks like some directions on how to access the multimedia keys. Multimedia, volume up and down, mute, LED on and off for the side RGB, and then a few different functions here on the bottom half. But other than that, that's pretty much it for the insert. Let's go ahead and take a look at the keyboard. So you do have a couple straps here that are Velcro. They do feel a little bit cheap. The top part also is a little bit elastic, as you can see there. this case should accommodate different keyboards should you want to carry something else in here. Let's go ahead and remove these two. And then conveniently on the bottom, you have a little tab here so you can pull up the keyboard. That sounds really subtle, but I'm thinking that's really significant because this keyboard, again, is almost 7 pounds. So extremely heavy keyboard. So you have this tab to remove the keyboard instead of having to flip the case over and have the keyboard fall out. On the inside of the case, it does have a really soft neoprene lining. It feels really soft interior. Shouldn't scratch up your keyboard anyway. So here is the keyboard. We'll go ahead and remove it from the plastic. This thing is extremely heavy. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys, but show you guys carefully. So let's go ahead and take a look at these keycaps. You'll notice obviously that these keycaps are quite plain. You just have black legends on a white keycap. Obviously has a pretty simplistic appearance, but as I said before, this keyboard has a standard layout, so it's gonna be extremely easy to find replacement keycaps. Let's go ahead and remove one of these and take a closer look. Alright, so taking a look at this A keycap, it does look like the cherry profile. OEM is a little bit taller. Anyways, these legends are dye-sublimated, so they should last quite a bit of time. And the keycaps themselves are made of PBT, so really durable keycaps, really durable legends. The walls, as you can see there, are fairly thick. On the website, it advertises 1.4 millimeter walls, which is fairly thick in the industry. I think lesser keycaps might be about 1.3 millimeters, so 1.4 is pretty good. The website also mentions that these keycaps are of the Gothic design with the sans serif font. Taking a closer look at these keycaps though, I do have some consistency issue with some of the keycaps. You may not be able to see this on camera, but the weight of the control font is a little bit heavier than on the Alt key. And it just looks like some of these legends aren't printed on there that well. In my opinion so far, I would go ahead and recommend that you replace these keycaps. I would have liked them to have really good keycaps out of the gate, especially with this keyboard being $200 or more. But anyways, that's it for the keycaps. Let's go ahead and take a look at the switches. I'll go ahead and remove a few more of the keycaps. You'll notice that the backplate already is aluminum. So the case is aluminum, the backplate is aluminum. There's a lot of aluminum on this keyboard, extremely heavy. Here are my Cherry MX Black switches. It looks like the plate matches the keyboard quite well, so it has a really seamless appearance. I'll go ahead and remove the caps lock key so we can see the edge of the plate. Alright, so the caps lock key is removed, and as you can see a little bit of space there in between the top plate and the plate that the switches are mounted on. But that's very minimal, and it looks like a really seamless appearance. So this keyboard honestly looks gorgeous. Next up, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the body. At the front of the keyboard, you notice it is quite thick right here, so I would definitely recommend a wrist rest. I think the angle for this keyboard is 8 degrees. It can be a little bit steep for some depending on who you are, but I personally recommend a wrist rest for this. But anyways, taking a look at the side here, you do have this groove right here, and then you can see the RGB diffuser right here, which we'll take a closer look later in the video. But I like this groove here. I think it gives a lot of character to the keyboard. Definitely looks pretty sleek, definitely a gorgeous keyboard. The finish so far looks pristine. There's no nicks, there's no scratches. It looks absolutely amazing. On the back of the keyboard, you'll notice that the Type-C port is centered. If you have a coiled cable, this is a TKL design, so that coiled cable can rest on either side and have a lot of room to work. So that's the back. Again, no issues with the finish. It looks absolutely pristine. Underneath the productivity keys, you do have a couple indicator lights. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back. Again, have to be really careful. This thing is extremely heavy. You'll notice those screw holes on the top and bottom of the keyboard. You have 4 on top, 4 on the bottom. Because it is a higher profile on top, they are pretty recessed in there. You can't really see those screws very much. On the bottom, a little bit more shallow, so you might be able to notice those. But the rubber feet here at the bottom of the keyboard are really minimal. They protrude just enough. Initially, it might seem like you might not have any confidence in these little nubs here, especially given the size of the keyboard, but the finish, as I said, it seems to be extremely smooth, no warping, none of that. So definitely these feet appear to elevate the keyboard just enough, and also giving the weight of the keyboard, this thing is not going to move. Pretty straightforward keyboard, guys. Honestly, I'm really impressed with the look of the aluminum. On the website, it mentions that this keyboard has improved durability with a sandblasting finish that's topped off with an anodizing finish. So really durable finish. It feels great, it looks great. This is an eye-catching design. The keycaps gotta go, but other than than that, this is a pretty amazing, beautiful body for a keyboard. Taking a look at the middle of the bottom, brand logo as well as the product name and the switch type and the serial number. So other than that, pretty straightforward bottom, pretty straightforward body. Now let's go ahead and plug this up and take a look at those side RGB accents. Here on the left side, obviously it's on the right side as well, but you'll notice that the light is actually quite bright. So obviously I have a little bit of studio lighting in the background here, but the RGB on this looks really nice and it's extremely bright. You can kind of make out some of the individual LEDs there, but in my opinion it is diffused quite well. I have no complaints. I think it looks really nice. For me, after getting deeper and deeper into enthusiast keyboard territory, I kind of don't care for RGB as much. As long as the font on the keycaps are easily legible, I don't have an issue with that. But just know guys, the side RGB looks really nice in my opinion. Now there's also different LED modes. All you need to do to access that is hit FN and page up. Okay, so a few different modes there. During normal use, you're going to see it from a side angle, but let's go ahead and take a look at it from a bottom angle. You'll actually notice that the LEDs are actually less diffused and easier to discern from here. But again, under normal use, there's no way you're going to be looking under the keyboard, so you shouldn't see that. So it looks like you have the RGB rainbow effect and then solid colors as far as the other options go. Now, in my opinion, if you're interested in a more classic, sleek, professional appearance, you can always turn the RGB off, or you can go to one of these solid colors, which makes the keyboard look extremely nice and professional. As far as other indicator lights, you do have a couple right here. One is for the caps lock. As you notice there, it turns on and off with the caps lock key, and then you have one for screen lock. Those are the two. It looks like the lights bleed into each other a little bit, but it is easy to discern which indicator light is on. Next up, let's go ahead and give those Cherry MX Blacks a listen. Alright guys, let's go ahead and talk about that typing test. I actually came away quite surprised. For comparison's sake, in the sound test, I included my previous keyboard, the NK65V2 with stock novel keys cream switches. In terms of smoothness, I give a slight edge to the cream switches, but I absolutely love the weight and feel of the Cherry MX Blacks on the AR87. It's that good. Now obviously, I reviewed and talked highly about a lot of keyboards in the past, both sponsored and unsponsored, and I'm not sure if I've ever outright said this, but this is my new favorite keyboard. I really thoroughly enjoyed the typing experience. I've typed on several different keyboards with metal casings in the past, and the feel of bottoming out on those keyboards can be quite harsh, to the point of only using them during gaming sessions and using other plastic keyboards for productivity. Typing on the AR87 had that same precise feeling, but it also felt really comfortable. I knew going into this that this keyboard included noise dampening material, but you just never know how that's going to perform. And let me just go ahead and say it performed really well. The pinging noise is incredibly low and pretty much requires you to smash a key to even hear. And even then, it's only audible if you have your ear close to the keyboard and you're listening attentively. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of my cons. The first one is somewhat minor, and I'm sure you've heard it during the sound test. It's the stabilizers. The spacebar is a bit rattly, but the others surprisingly feel fine. I looked closely at all of them, and there's actually a small but noticeable amount of lube on each of them. Other than that, I only have one other con that I've mentioned before, and that's the keycaps. The feel of the keycaps is just fine. It's mostly the look look of them. The weight of the legends isn't always consistent, the printing of the font isn't the cleanest with some rough edges here and there, and some of the keycaps aren't as centered as the others. I noticed some plastic shavings coming off several of the keycap edges. All these are fairly minor gripes, but there's just enough of them that I would recommend getting another keycap set, which again should be pretty easy to find for this standard layout. Another thing that you should consider is that this keyboard is an absolute pain to lug around, so if you're traveling with your keyboard, I might caution against it. Other than that guys, I really like this keyboard and it has my overall recommendation. Obviously it's a bit cost prohibitive at $240 for the blue, brown, black, and red models, and $260 for the silent red model. But I worked with ABKONCORE to get a special promotional price on Amazon for this keyboard, which will be active from August 24th to September 30th. Use coupon code LilRice AR87 to get $40 off the blue, brown, black, and red switch models, and code LilRice AR87S to get almost $60 off the silent red variety. As usual, if you guys have any questions at all, go ahead and drop a comment below. I'll get to you as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and support the channel by subscribing. I'll see you guys on the next one. This is Little Rice Muncher Gaming, signing off. Thanks.